Hi guys, as mentioned in my previous video, I'm going to share my strategy on how to clear the challenge mode. And for a free-to-play player, it is quite challenging because you have limited resources. You don't have, unlike whales, you don't have a lot of gunpla parts to just blow the game away, right? So you have to strategize your setup. So first, let's talk about basic setup. In terms of gunpla building, in this game you have melee and you have a short attack as well. So melee Gundams basically use close combat fighting. Short attack, you're usually shooting from a distance. Basically, you're firing shots. So to add to another level of complexity, the game also introduces beam and physical attacks. And that's the difference between beam and physical attacks. Basically, if you watch enough Gundam series, beam attacks are basically anything to do with a laser element to it. So if it's a beam melee, it would be a laser sword of sorts. So kind of like what the traditional Gundam design looks like. Maybe I have an example of a beam saber. So that's a beam saber. That's something that looks like how it would look like. It's kind of like a lightsaber from Star Wars, right? Beam short attack would just mean it's a rifle that fires beam attacks, right? Beam shots. Physical would be what you see on my Gundam right now. So maybe katanas. So it's a physical blade, or it could be a large blade. Like another example I have here that's quite obvious is the demolition knife. So it's like a huge sword, and that's a physical sword, right? You also have physical shots as well. So they could be actual physical bullets from if it's fired from a rifle or machine gun, or it could be a bazooka, which is like a rocket launcher, right? So those are physical shots. So the game basically has different permutations. So when you think about the challenges, the challenge mode, they have presented range, where range attacks are favored. They have also presented in previous weeks melee, where melee attacks are preferred. And they also have challenge mode where beam attacks are favored, as well as physical attacks are favored. So something's happening to the game again. So that guy just came back. So basically, as I was saying, well, in other modes, they've favored specific attacks, physical attacks, beam attacks, or melee, or short attacks, range attacks. But for this week, they are focused on the physical mode. So a whale might have the resources to have Gundams of different permutations. They could have one that is focused on beam melee, or and then another with physical melee, and then another gunpla that's focused on beam short attack, and then another one on physical short attack. But as a free-to-play player, you have limited resources. It's better to concentrate on very specific builds. So for me, my strategy is to have one melee and one shot for sure, but I have to make them specialists as well, so that I can't have both beam melee and beam shot. Then when you are encountered with a physical mode challenge, you will not be able to clear that content. So I have designated my melee to be a physical melee specialist, and for the short attack Gundam to be focused on beam attacks. So for now, you can see the bullet means that the skill is you see a bullet sign there on Cypher's railgun. That means that it's a physical special attack. Well, if I need to specialize with beam, I can just swap that skill over. So I can swap the Calidus multi-phase beam cannon, and that's a beam shot. The game actually tells you it's a beam shot. You can replace it, right? You can set a different skill, and basically all skills are beam attacks. But for now, that's not the point. For the physical attack, I would like to focus on using my melee build Gundam, and here's how I'm going to defeat the stage. Even though I have 3 very high cooldown skills, right? The idea is to be very strategic in your usage of the skills and to clear it within the 3-minute time frame. So here goes. So you might need to try it a few times to get the sense of where and what kind of enemies will be appearing. And in the first stage, you have 2 Gundams. You want to get rid of the fodder Gundam first while avoiding the daily attack from the command Gundam, especially when he fires the rocket launcher. As you can see, one of these will easily knock you out. Then once he's done, you can just use your normal attacks to get rid of the fodder Gundam, and then you use your EX skill to get rid of the command Gundam. So that's the first EX skill. Alright, now the next stage, there are 2 fodder Gundams, but you want to get rid of the main Barbatos Gundam that's running towards you. Use your special skill. Now you just have to wait for these 2 skills to refill, and you have a lot of time to get rid of the 2 fodder Gundams. Because in the next stage, you will have 3 highly powered enemies from the first 2 stages. You have the Barbatos Gundam in its 4th form, the Barbatos Gundam on the 6th form, as well as the command Gundam. So the ideal scenario is to have all 3 EX skills loaded up, and you can defeat them in one shot without having to resort to your normal attacks. So I'm just slowly picking off the fodder Gundam while getting into optimal position and cooldown for my skills. Okay, they're filling up quite nicely. I'm hoping they can fill up before I run out of time to clear this stage. 3 minutes. Okay, that's enough. So I just have to wait till Bloody Wrench at least has a close enough gauge, and I can launch my attack to move to the next stage. Alright, here goes. Because the cutscene takes a few seconds to load, there is an additional time to recover the gauges as well. So that's my first EX skill. I'm picking off one of the Barbatos Gundams. Alright, I will use the second skill to get rid of the second Barbatos Gundam. And then now I just have to avoid the command Gundam from killing me off while my bisect needs to reset. And yes, as sure telling you, bisect is a stray red frame skill, one of my favorite Gundams, and the animation is great as well. Here goes. He draws the sword. And that's how you can defeat the game, even though you're free to play. The key to this, however, is that you need to have the patience to build your Gundam to a certain level of stats as well. So you need to have at least about 20 to 30k of your attack. Basically for me, if I'm using melee, my melee attack needs to be at least 20 to 30k. As you can see, my short build has about 20 to 30k short attack as well. If you do not have at least 20k, your EX skills are not going to be able to one-shot the main Gundams that you saw on each of those stages, and that will be problematic because after you use the EX skill, you're just left with your normal skill set. All of those main Gundams can kill you with one of their EX skills easily with one shot, so it will be immensely difficult without the minimum stats. But with that, it's just a matter of strategizing when to use which attack. I hope you found this useful. Peace.